Hey, what's up everybody? TooTallToby here, and it is February, which means that we have a new leaderboard challenge for February. But not only do we have a new leaderboard challenge, we also have a new mechanism for submitting our times. When we go here to the leaderboard and we click compete, you can see that we can slide this clock over and we can use this clock to begin timing ourselves, creating these three models. To click here when we finish model 1. So I did model 1 in just 4 seconds. Yeah. Model 2, that took me a little longer. It took me 5 seconds. And let's say model 3, we did model 3 in just 3 seconds. So my total time was 12 seconds. I'm going to put in my name, TooTallToby. I'm going to put in my CAD system, SolidWorks 2015. And I'm going to say submit to leaderboard. And just like that, boom, my name is on the leaderboard. Oh, I tied with Kundan. So we are on the leaderboard here, SolidWorks 2015, Siemens NX11. I think both of these are obviously not correct submissions. They're not valid submissions, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna try to model these 3 parts, and I'm gonna talk you guys through all the rules. So the rules are down here. They were updated February 2nd, 2023. The rules for this challenge are all down here on the bottom. So I'm gonna create these 3 models, these 3 parts here. If I click on this little link, it says February 2023 leaderboard challenge. That'll open a new tab with the 3 drawings. So you can see the 3 drawings are found there. And the first rule in this challenge is that you can practice these drawings as much as you want. So you can practice this one, practice until you feel like you're really fast, and then you can click go and practice this one and practice this one. But you do have to do all 3 of them right in a row. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm already starting to talk about the rules. Let's get into it here with the February 2023 leaderboard challenge. Ow! All right, so I go to TooTallToby.com/leaderboard. That's where we get started here, TooTallToby.com/leaderboard. And I'm going to come down here to the new leaderboard for February. The January leaderboard is still up if you want to watch any of those old videos. Congratulations to Ali getting first place, 3 minutes. Man, he was really screaming through that challenge. But you can watch anybody's videos if you want to get some tips and tricks from some of these speed modelers. You can watch the way that they did it. But we're going to now get started competing in the February challenge. So I'm going to say compete. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to notice that the correct answers are up here at the top. And I'm going to slide this thing over here, slide this over, and then I'm just going to move my CAD so that my CAD is in the correct location. So the first rule in the official rules is that you can practice as many times as you want before you get started. The second rule in the official rules says that you have to record the entire session in one run. You cannot take breaks or anything like that. You have to record the whole thing start to finish. It needs to be a true speed run. So the second rule there is that you have to record the whole thing all in one run. So with that, let's get started. Now you do have to use this clock. This is all part of the second rule as well. You do have to use this clock. So the clock is found here, TooTallToby/timer. You get there from the leaderboard link. And you have to submit your final answer here down at the bottom by using this clock. So you have to use the clock, and the clock has to be on the screen while you are running these models. So I'm going to say start here. So now the clock is going, and I'm going to take a look at this first print. If you lose the link to the print or anything, you could say click here for 2D drawings. That opens a new tab up top here for the IMGUR, and then you can go through and you can look at these prints. You can make this a little bit bigger or put it on a second screen, or if you click on these images in the IMGUR, that makes them bigger as well. So, hopefully I've done some practice on this thing and I have a basic strategy. I mean, for a part like this, I probably would want to either create it from this view looking down from the top, or maybe create it from this view looking in from the side. But again, at this point, maybe I have already modeled this thing several times, so I really don't have to think about that kind of stuff. I can just jump right in and focus on creating the geometry. So here we go. This is a part that is in IPS, it's in inches, and the material is plain carbon steel. I'm going to assign that material now. Of course, you could create a template that has that material in it, but the third rule here in our list of rules is that you must start each model anew. Okay, and rule number 4 is you cannot have any pre-created geometry, so no drag and drop features or anything like that. Certainly you can create a template, and that template could include information like your material, but you can't have any pre-created geometry. Can't have any drag and drop, can't have any macros or anything like that. I know that there were some kind of exploits that happened last month, like people realized that whatever settings you used for Hole Wizard would stick in subsequent sessions, and so they were able to kind of pre-cook the Hole Wizard values before moving into the next challenge. I mean, you know, it is what it is. It's just how it is. I can't really prevent you from doing that, and that's not really the spirit of this thing anyway. I just want to see what kind of exploits people come up with. Because I think it's cool. So no pre-created geometry, but if you happen to stumble across some functionality like that, like, oh wow, I realized when I ran this thing a couple of times that my Hole Wizard settings actually stick from one session to the next. Well, that's okay. That's good for you discovering that, and you can certainly use that as an exploit. So, you know, similarly, I think I saw somebody who realized that chamfer settings stick. So this chamfer here is going to be 1.25 over 2, so 0.625. So, you know, you could maybe exploit that a little bit as well. And if you do, more power to you. I think Ali did it with basically no exploits, just using, he just used best practices in SolidWorks and built-in shortcuts, and he was able to get the top time, and he was able to do 3 models in 3 minutes, which is just absolutely incredible. So if you watch his run, I think you'll see what I mean. He really didn't use any exploits or anything. He just is a really good user, and he was able to maximize what he knows about the software and what he knows about shortcuts to generate accurate geometry in a very short period of time. Let's see here. So rule number 3 and 4, every time you go to a new model, you have to click new, and no pre-created geometry. You just kind of have to go through and work through this model. So that's what I'm doing here. I can't, for example, I couldn't have something in the design library that is this trapezoidal keyway that's running across the bottom and then drag and drop that from the library. Nope, not allowed. You can use Hole Wizard, or if your CAD system has an equivocal tool, that's fine, but none of the no pre-created stuff that you have made, no macros, no, nothing that's going to go through and auto-populate all the dimensions. Now, I mean, you can memorize the dimensions, that's fine. You could even create a cheat sheet if you wanted to that said, like, enter this dimension and then enter that dimension. We used to do that all the time when we were doing demos, where we would create notes for ourselves with all the key dimensions kind of called out. Even in training, even when we would teach classes, we would do that kind of stuff to make sure that things went smoothly. And that's fine. For this contest, that's fine. But you just can't have anything pre-created that's in the computer itself. You can't have like Notepad with a bunch of pre-cooked dimensions that are in different bays in Notepad. Like if you have like a 10-button mouse, you can't have each of those dimensions programmed to each button. That's not cool, not allowed, and probably a little bit hard to detect, but I'm just telling you right now, it's not allowed. All right, so now I'm doing what's called the final spin, where I'm looking at this model, making sure that all the geometry looks correct, is correct. And the number that I'm going for is 2.44 pounds. I've included this up at the top to make it easy for you guys to see. So one of the rules is that when you are doing each of these models, you must clearly show the correct mass for each model before you move on. Now, it doesn't need to be up for very long. It could be up for just like a second or even a half a second, but just make sure that it's pretty clear that it's on the screen somewhere. So if I need to like pause the video and look at it again while I'm verifying, that I can see that the mass equals 2.44 pounds. It is then and only then that you can click this button, and you must click this button. Click here when finished model. So you have to click that button that's up here in this first group of rules, clock. You must click the button labeled click here when finished model after you finish each model. And the clock, again, must be visible during the entire recording. It must be visible for the entire duration of your recorded video. That's just to kind of help make sure that there's no shenanigans going on or anything like that. Not that I think any of you guys would do any shenanigans, but, just to make sure that we're all playing from the same field. Okay, so so you can, like I said, you can slide this thing over. You can get it out of the way to give yourself enough room to actually do the CAD. I don't want you to feel like you're hindered, like you can't do the CAD. And if you're overlapping here a little bit, that's fine. As long as you can see the clocks, that's fine. All right, so now our next model I burned off some time there, but our next model is going to be this model here. 10323 grams is what I'm hoping to get from this one. And looks like I'm probably going to do a revolve on this one. 220 for the max OD and 120 for that smaller ID. So we'll go new here. This is going to be a part in millimeters. We're going to go front plane, begin a sketch, orient the view. And I'm going to create a line here that comes across to 120 over 2. It's going to be my 60. And I'll come up and over and up and over and down. And then I'll make a center line that goes up a little bit further and give that guy a diameter of 220. And let's go with a height here of 95. And let's go with a height to here of 45. All right, features revolve. Now, this model has a little bit of a tricky feature in it in this I'm going to do it as a cut revolve. You could certainly do it all in one sketch, but it is a little bit tricky. And the thing that's tricky about it is that we give you the diameter as a radius. So it's diameter 20 to radius of 10. And then we give you this dimension. So I'm going to pick this silhouette edge here, and then I'm going to hold shift, and then I'm going to pick the arc of the circle here. And this is the dimension that we give you. That dimension is at a value of 8 millimeters to tangent. So you'll notice here that the center of the circle is not exactly on the edge of this part. You know, when you're doing this, if you do it a couple of times and then you realize that this dimension is 62 or this dimension is 124, that's fine. I mean, you're speed running this after multiple takes. As long as the geometry is correct and as long as you're not using any Ivan exploits, it's fine. You can do something like that and it's totally acceptable. And so we can go features, revolve, cut, and we can revolve that around the bottom. And then we could maybe go to the right side view, select plane, begin a sketch, orient the view, and we can create the geometry for the right side view. Looks like this is a centered rectangle, but I'll just do it manually the way the print is defined. Again, you don't have to follow the design intent of the print. You don't have to dimension it the same way the print is dimensioned, but you do have to have all the geometry the same as the geometry on the print. So the geometry needs to be the same, no Ivan exploits, but you know, if you dimension it differently than the print, but you still get the same geometry, that's fine. So, no Ivan exploit. See video. I'll include a video here to explain what an Ivan exploit is. No drag and drop. We talked about that. You got to make sure that you can clearly see the mass. Okay, we talked about most of this stuff already. We'll talk about Whole Wizard in the next part. So let's go to this final feature here, which I'm going to just do as a cut revolve. So I'm going to bring this plane up to a height of 78. That's the height of that counter bore on that print. And then I'll just pick that plane, begin a sketch, orient the view, and create a cut revolve. You could certainly do this as 2 cut extrudes. I think that's how Neil did it when he did this model in the competition. You could do it, you know, with a Whole Wizard. If you're comfortable with Whole Wizard and like 3D sketching and specifying the offset, that's fine too. You can do it however you want, as long as the geometry is correct. So for example, this counter bore is dimensioned at 24. Well, I can just make it 12 there. This hole diameter, this through hole diameter is dimensioned at 10 through. Well, I could just make this dimension here 5. And the distance from one center line to the other center line is 85. So I could do 85 over 2. And that's fine as well. This endpoint here I've left underdefined. This endpoint I left underdefined. It's fine. You know, whatever you got to do, just keep moving forward. Pick this line here, go features, revolve, cut. Boom, that gives us that revolve cut, and then we can take that revolve cut and the right plane and we can do a mirror and mirror that revolve cut across the right plane. Oh yeah, this thing's looking good. Let's make sure we get the correct material per the print. This is made out of plain carbon steel, and the density for plain carbon steel is on the print as well, so you can make sure you got it. Looking at this thing, comparing it to the print, doing the final spin, it looks pretty good. Let's go to evaluate mass properties, and we see that the answer we're coming up with here is 10323. Confirmed up at the top of the screen here, 10323. So I say click here when finished model 2. So that model took me 5 minutes and 20 seconds. And you can see my total time is still running down at the bottom. And so now I'm going to go back to the IMGUR and I'm going to go to the bottom print on the IMGUR. And here on this bottom print, you can see that we are going to be shooting for a mass of 499.2. Probably a part like this. Again, you could either decide to start with the footprint, or you could decide to start with the kind of L shape from the side view. One thing I'll call out on this print that's important to recognize is that this dimension, the radius 60, and this dimension, the radius 80, are coming from this center point of the tombstone. So all that stuff is concentric, and that might play into your decisions on how you construct this model. Everything is basically concentric to this point here. So let's go and create that part. We're going to go new. This is going to be a part, once again, using millimeters. This one's out of 1060 alloy. Make sure that, when you select your material, that you're getting the correct density. And we always have to start a new part. Okay, remember that. Whenever we after we click the button here, we have to click new and start a new part. You can't work from an existing part or like delete all your work and start over again. Then you got to click new, or whatever the equivocal is on your CAD software. You can always ask questions in the comments, and I'll answer your questions. But whenever you get started, you must click new. That's included in the rules. You must start each model anew. Oh, I've got pretty fancy with that text there. Must start the first model after pressing record. So we pressed start here. We recorded. This clock should alleviate a lot of the challenges people ran into recording themselves. So now let's go to our geometry for this thing. Like I said, you could take a couple of approaches here. I'm going to make this using the kind of the L shape. And just kind of using the dimensions that I know I have. Like I know this dimension here is 65 is the max height, minus 12 is the foot plate. So I can just type that in instead of doing the arithmetic in my head. Here's another little cool trick that I like to use, the magic arrow for angle dimensions. And then I can extrude that, and that's going to come out to a depth of 85, and that's going to be, I'll do that mid-plane, because I know a lot of this stuff is centered. And I will begin a new sketch here of an arc. I'll do this as a 3-point arc with a radius of 80. This is that radius I pointed out to you a little earlier. I'll take these 2 points and make them vertical. I'll take this guy and make it tangent. And then we will extrude cut, and this will be through all in both directions. Now I am ready to maybe create that tombstone shape, because now I have something to make it concentric to. So this has a radius of 26. And there we go. And then this is concentric to this. And boom, it gives us a nice fully defined sketch. That's what we like. They don't have to be fully defined, but I like it when they are. And then I'll go to this face here, and I will create another tombstone shape. This one comes down 20 and has a radius of 15. And come up here. There we go. And then we can take this point and make it vertical here because of our center line symmetric, and that can be extrude cut as well. Okay, now I'm going to use Hole Wizard. Now, Hole Wizard is a feature in SolidWorks that lets us automate the creation of counterbores, countersinks, common holes. Hole Wizard is a very useful tool. It's used in industry. It is a library feature, essentially like a drag and drop library feature, but because it's used so much in industry, I'm going to allow its use in this contest. If you have something similar in your CAD system, that's awesome. If not, you just got to make them manually. But with Hole Wizard, one thing to call to your attention is that once you select the hole type of counterbore, if you go down here to this section that says show custom sizing, that'll let you type in the values from the drawing. And for I know at least for SolidWorks and Onshape, it goes right in the same order, 15, 30, 10. So, or sorry, that's the wrong hole. This hole down here. So it's 5, 10, 5. So it's a 5 millimeter diameter through hole, a 10 millimeter counterbore, and the counterbore goes to a depth of 5 millimeters. Well, the order of those numbers is the same as the order of the numbers here. So it's 5, I press tab, 10, I press tab, 5, I press tab, and now I know I have the correct geometry for the counterbore. So just a little pro tip there as you're going through and creating these models. Remember to learn how your whole creation software works and learn the order in which the dimensions on the drawing correspond to that software, and you could potentially save yourself a lot of time and really speed up your workflows. So this is 10 down from the top, 55 across center to center, and I'll hit the green check mark for that. And I've got another hole wizard hole here. So I can go hole wizard, and I could go to my position on this one. This one is just going to be wake up the center point and drop it right there on the center point. And then I can go back to type, and then for the type here, this is that other larger hole. So 15, 30, 10, that larger hole up there. So this will just type in 15 tab, 30 tab, 10. And there we go. That gives us our hole wizard for that location. And just a couple of final features here. In this case, we've got a slotted arced hole. Well, again, this arc is coming from that point there. So just make sure that you realize that and that you take advantage of that geometry. And then this is going to have a radius at the center line of 60 and a radius at this end of 8. And then we'll move this over here, and we'll move this over here, and we will say that the angle for those is the angle is 50 over 2, because I'm only going up to that top part. And then make sure that this line is horizontal. There's probably a more elegant way to do that. I'll bet I could do make this point and this point vertical. It's going to let me. Oh, I might have to draw in a vertical line, huh? Well, draw in a line there, make it vertical. And then I could probably do something like pick this point, and pick the center. I'm holding control there when I'm making this pick. Do I need to hold control? Let's try again. Pick this point, pick the center. Oh, there we go. Look at that angle dimension. So the only tricky thing is getting those 2 points to be vertical. Well, and knowing that you can do that with an angle dimension, but it's kind of cool. All right, we'll make that 50. All right, S key, extrude cut, right mouse button, through all, right mouse button. And there we go. That looks pretty good. Oh, one final thing. Don't forget about these fillets, radius 20 fillets. So fillet here and a fillet here. And right mouse button and finish that one. Give it the final spin. Make sure our material is assigned. We don't have our material assigned. Right mouse button, 1060 alley, because I started that other new part after I did it. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And I think we're going to go to evaluate mass properties. And there we can see 499.21, 499.2 is the answer we're looking for. We can see that up here. So boom. I'm done with that one. And then it says my total time is 18 minutes and 39 seconds. And so I'm going to enter my name, TooTallToby. I'm going to enter my CAD system, SolidWorks 2015 SP5. And I'm going to say submit to leaderboard. And when I do that, it scrolls down, it highlights my name, and it says, congratulations, you're in third. Thank you for your submission, TooTallToby. Your video will be checked for verification soon. So you see here it says verified no, and video link is blank. Well, the reason for that is because now I'm done recording my video, and what I need to do is save that video and then upload it somewhere and then add it to the comments of the other video. I'll make another one of those synthwave videos where like the parts are being modeled in speed modeling time and the parts are flying through. You're going to reply to that video. That's the official video. So if we continue looking at these rules here, we can see that when you're done, you're going to post a recording of your video on YouTube or Reddit or LinkedIn or whatever you want to do, and then post a comment with a link to that video here. And then I'll put up that video from the February. And then watch the leaderboard. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take your video that you submitted. I'm going to watch it, and that'll get it verified. And I'm going to take your video link and I'll add it to the leaderboard. So you don't have to do anything else. You're done. You're good. Congratulations. And I will look at it. If it's a misclick, like it looks like Kundan maybe did a misclick here. I did a misclick earlier. I'll just delete the entry. So when I'm done making this video, I'm going to be number one, first place on this leaderboard. And it's going to be up to you guys to see if you can do yours faster than 18 minutes and 39 seconds. And it's kind of cool. We can also see over here how long it took to do each model. And that way, maybe you'll see like one person figured out a trick to doing one of the models extremely quickly. Well, you could look at their video and you can learn how they did it. It's pretty cool, right? So Let me know what you guys think about this video. Let me know what you think about the contest. Once your video is verified, you'll be on the leaderboard. I'm going to randomly pick one verified video from all participants. I think we can take up to 50 entries. I don't think we're going to get 50, but I'll roll the wheel for all participants. The challenge closes midnight, the final day of the month. By submitting this video to the contest, you grant TooTallToby and team the right to use the video footage of your submission for any marketing promotional purposes without limitation. So in other words, if I want to take your video and remix it or mash it together with a bunch of other videos, you're granting me the right to do that by submitting your video to this contest. Oh, and there's one other thing. I forgot to add this to the rules. I'll add it in here as rule number 13. You can submit more than once. I'm just going to delete anything. I'll delete all the worst times. So I'm only going to keep your best time. But if you do it one day in 10 minutes and then you come back the next day and you do it in 9 minutes, that's fine. You can submit as many times as you want, but I will delete all of the lower or the worst times, and I'm only going to keep your best time. So no big deal for me. It's easy enough for me to do it, and I'm happy to do it. If you want to keep trying, if you want to keep trying to rank up and be a little bit higher on the leaderboard, more power to you. And I appreciate you being part of this contest. Guys, let me know in the comments what you think about this contest, what you think about this challenge, if you're digging this, and look forward to seeing your entries. See you, everybody.